So in today's session, we will be discussing about the .NET Core project file. So whenever we are going to create any new project in the ASP.NET Core environment, then by default the project file is created in the application. Now depending on your application, which is created whether in the C# language or in a VB language, the extension differs here. So if you are creating the application in C#, then your solution or your project file will be having the extension as .csproj, that represents the C# language project. And whenever we are going to create a Visual Basic project, then the extension will be having as .vb project. Now where this .NET Core project file resides in our application, if you can check here, the .NET Core project file is available here. You guys are able to see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Ritesh.
Okay. So
Can
the
you
basic
can you zoom it little bit or something?
yes, we are
Because
going to discuss this project file in detail and with respect to the traditional framework like .NET Framework 4.8 as well. Okay. So next is what this project file contains, or what are the data available in this particular project file. Basically the project file will contain all the information which is required to build your application and publish this particular application in the your deployment location, right? So this information will contain the attributes such as item group, property group. These details about the .NET Core project file we will be going to discuss in this particular session. Now here we have written some of the concepts or some of the lines which are as no need to unload the project to edit the project file. In the previous framework such as .NET 4.8 or the previous framework, we have to unload the file before editing it, right? Suppose you wanted to use the previous framework. Initially you have installed, or initially you are creating the project with the .NET framework 4.7.1, and now you wanted to go with the framework such as .NET framework 4.6.1. Now in this scenario you have to change the project file, and to change the project file in the previous framework like ASP.NET 4.7 6.1, you have to unload the project file first, and then you were able to make the changes in the project file only. So these terms which are related to the ASP.NET framework, which are earlier present in our SDK or software development platform, right? Now we will see the changes which are required for the framework such as 4.8 4.7 in the Visual Studio by using the Visual Studio 2017. Here I am having Visual Studio 2017 here. So by default the framework available here are up to the .NET framework 4.8 only. Okay. Now what I will do, I will create one project or the web application project by clicking on the new project template, and we will see how to edit the project file in the previous framework or traditional .NET framework. Now I'm saying traditional means this is the frameworks which are available in the .NET framework up to, or the frameworks up to the target framework 4.8 version. Now here I am going to create one web application. Now I am going to give a name as .NET demo project file. Here I can specify the name of the project which I am going to create. Next is the location of the project where this project will be available, the name of the solution here, then the framework which are already installed in my system. Here I am using the Visual Studio 2017 version, right? Now I can select the .NET framework here. So I'm selecting the .NET framework 4.7.1 here, right? And clicking on the OK to go on the next screen. Now here various templates which are available in the ASP.NET web applications are available here, right? So I'm selecting the template as the empty template where I don't want to add any references in my project. Okay. So next is if I wanted to add any references, you can add here by using the checkbox available here, such as the web forms, the references for MVC, for web API. Okay. So these all configuration you can do in this particular page or in this screen, right? So I'm clicking on the OK. So now my project will be created in the Visual Studio 2017. So here you can check in the properties window, there is a target framework which we have already specified is available here, right? Now I'm changing the target framework, or I'm making some changes in the project file. How these changes are going to affect to my application, we will be discussing over here. Now first thing, here is no option to edit the project file. In my current project, in my solution.NET demo project file, there is one project with the name as .NET demo project file. So now if I wanted to edit this particular file, there is no option to edit this particular file here, right? So if I wanted to make changes in the project file, how I can do it? I have to unload the project first. There is option here to unload the project. Then I can make some changes in the project file. Now there is option to edit my project over here. Now you can see my project is created in the C# language. That's why there is extension as .csproj, right? Now there is option, whenever I'm going to unload this particular project, then I can edit this project by using the edit.NET project file here. So now I'm going to edit this particular project. So here there are multiple elements present here. So what are these elements? Basically, whatever we are going to add in our solution or in a project, these all details will be available in the project file. Now from the .NET Core, the .NET Core will not contain all the information for the classes folders in their project file, but the previous version will contain all the information about the files, the classes which we have already added in our project will be available here. Now we will check for the target framework. Now the target framework attribute is specified here, and our application is currently using the target framework 4.7.1. now let's change this. Now I wanted to use the target framework 4.7.2. now we can save these changes, and now as of now this project is unloaded from my application. So to load this particular project in the solution, I can select the option as reload project. Now you can see the target framework which is used by my current project is .NET Framework 4.7.2, because I have changed the target framework by using the project file in my current project. So in this way we can edit the project file in the traditional .NET framework, right? Next concept is, whenever I'm going to add any project folder file, it will get directly added in the project folder. So in the .NET Core this concept is not available, and in .NET Core we will check what are the differences from the traditional .NET framework and the .NET Core framework, how the project file differs. Now in this particular project I am going to add one new folder here, right? So I would just wanted to add new folder by the name as controllers, and inside the controller I just wanted to add one controller, a default controller or empty controller, whatever it is. So in my project I'm just going to add one folder, and inside the folder I'm going to add one controller file. Now let's see what are the changes available in the project file. Let's see. Let's see first here only, then now you can see here inside the controllers there is one class with the name as home controller. It will be having some default methods here as it is the controller, that's why here we can see some of the methods, right? So let's see what are the changes happened with the project file. Let's unload the project first. Let's go to the edit and the project name. You can see the references of this particular folder with the file we have already added in the application. Now I have added one folder with the name as controller. So as soon as you add any class or any folder in your application, you can see the CS project, that project file will contain those references here. Now I have added one controller folder, and inside the controller I have added one controller class as the name with home controller.cs. So the reference of that particular file is added in the .NET Core or .NET project file, right? So every project file or every class file you add in your project, the reference of that particular file will be available in the project file. So next is in the Visual Studio 2017, I will add one file in my project. So basically the file I will create in the file explorer and see how this file will be added in our project. Yes.
Sorry to disturb you, but this to my query is that you are showing us at Visual Studio 2017. Okay, the exact, what is the exact role you want to?
Yeah, hello.
So we have created here one project. Now I'm going to add one file and check whether this file is going to be added in our project folder or not. I'm just adding one text file here as a new text document, and let's see whether this file is available in my project. No, it's not available. Still not available. So there are options to show all files and collapse all. So out of which we will be clicking on the show all files which are available in the file explorer or on your root folder here. Now you can see the new text document.txt file is available here. So this means that this file exists in our project folder, but this file is not included in your project. To include this file or to work with this file, what you do, you can just add this file in your project by using the include in project option in the .NET framework. So now this file is going to be added in your project. So basically these three concepts we will be discussing with regards with the .NET Core framework. Let's create one project with the .NET Core framework by using the Visual Studio. Now here I am using the .NET Core Target Framework 6.0 to create this project. So now what I will do, I will create one project here. Chetan, now we are using the Visual Studio 2022, and now we are going to create one application in the .NET ASP.NET Core framework.
Yes.
So I will select the option as new. I will create one new project here. Now the screen will show all the available templates, out of which we will select the ASP.NET Core Web App template to create one web application. Then we will create, then we will click on the next button. We will specify the name of the project, the location, the solution name, Then if you wanted to add the solution and project in the same directory, you can click here. Next is the target framework. Here I have added the by default with the Visual Studio 2022, by default the .NET Core Framework 6.0 is available with the installation by using the installation of the Visual Studio. So if you wanted to add any previous version, you can add by using the downloading it, and by installing it you can use the previous framework also. Okay. So here you can configure your application accordingly, and you can create one web application by using the Visual Studio 2022 and .NET Core Framework 6.0. Okay. So I have already created the application here, so I'm not going to create one new. I'm using this particular application only. Now you can see the project name, and inside the project name there are the files which are available with the this particular project. Now here if I click, then you can see what are the options or what are the contents which are available with the .NET Core project file. Here you can see the extension as .csproj. That means this particular project is created with the .NET, is created with the C# language. That's why the extension is .cs project. Right. Now if I wanted to add anything, or if I wanted to edit this particular file, then how I can edit this file? I can just right click on that file, and there is option to edit the project file here. Now in the Visual Studio 17, with the traditional framework, traditional .NET framework, there was no option to edit your project file over there. So here we can edit the project file in your application only. So now the current version we are using here is .NET Core 6.0. Now I wanted to use the target framework or the previous framework. Here you can specify your framework name here, or your version name here. So I have already installed the .NET 5.0. You can change the target framework as .NET 5.0. Now I'm going to check whether I can add a new file in this particular solution or in this particular project, and how this file will get affected in my project. I'm going to add one file in the solution window, file explorer window, as a new text document .txt. Now as soon as I have added this particular file, it is getting reflected in the solution window, right? So there is these particular files which are available in the root folder of the application will get default added in our project folder, right? As soon as I remove this particular file, it will get removed from the project. Let's check this. I'm just going to delete this particular file. Now there are no references of this file present in the project folder or the project file. In the traditional .NET framework, whenever we are going to add any file, the references of that file are present in the project file here. Now you can check that there are no references of this particular new text document in available in the project file. So this basically this is the major difference between the project file in the .NET framework and the .NET Core framework. As soon as second is the synchronized folders and files. As soon as I'm going to add any file in this particular location or physical location of the uh, project, then the same get affected in a within a seconds, or same get affected in the project folder also. You can check here. Now I'm using the target framework as net 5.0. I can change it again here as net 6.0. So what is mean by this net 5.0 and 6.0? Basically these are the .NET Core monikers or target framework monikers. So basically these are the abbreviations which are used to indicate the target framework in the project file. So what are the available .NET Core monikers? Let's check here.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, hi.
Yeah. So if
Let's see what are the .NET Core monikers. So here we are using the .NET Core framework 5.0, but the abbreviation for the target framework here is the net 5.0. Basically this net 5.0, net 6.0, in case of uh, .NET 2.1 it is net standard 2.0. In terms of .NET Core 3.1 it is net core app 3.0. These all details I have specified in this particular document. That is for .NET 6 version. In the project file you can see the abbreviation as net 6.0. For .NET 5 framework the abbreviation will be net 5.0. For .NET standard it will be net standard 2.1. For .NET Core it will be net core app 3.1, and the previous versions such as .NET framework it will be having net 48. So these are the .NET framework monikers which are used to denote the target framework here. And the target framework will be having the information about which of the version we are using in our project. Now it is indicated by the property group. Here the property group will contain the information about the target framework, credentials, if you want to specify any, or connection string. All this information you can specify in the property group attribute. Now let's see what happens when we are going to add any references to this particular application, right? So I'm just going to add one reference here by using the NuGet package manager console. So to display or to use any package in our application, you have two ways. You can do it by using the UI which is provided by the NuGet package manager, and you can use it by you can use the NuGet package manager console. Now in my project I am going to install one package with the name as newtonsoft.json, and we will see what are changes going to happen in our project file. Now there is only one attribute as property group here, as we have not added any references for the any external file such as newtonsoft.json or any external package which is named as a newtonsoft.json. Let's see what happens when we add or when we install this particular package. Now it's going to add. Now here one new attribute is created, and inside this attribute we can see there is the reference of newtonsoft.json package specified here with the version of 13.0. This means that the newtonsoft.json file is having the version of 13.0.1, and you can see here inside the packages there is one file with the newtonsoft.json. As our .NET Core framework uses the modular approach, that's why all the packages you can add by using the NuGet package manager. This makes the .NET Core framework a modular and which will give or which will provide the better results in terms of performance. So here we have seen we can edit the target framework here. We can add the new package references, and as soon as these references are added inside this project, then these references of this particular file are added in this particular project file only. Now if I add any new file or folder in this particular project, then let's see what happens in the .NET Core. Because in the previous framework we have seen that whenever we are going to add a new folder, then the folder references are added in the project file. Now just I'm going to add one folder as controllers, and inside the controllers now inside the controllers folder I am having one home controller here. Now check our project file. So there are no references of the new file created in the project file. By default, whatever the files or folders available in the root folder of the project will be considered as a files which will be used in the project only. In the previous version, if we are adding any new folders or files, that references of that particular files and folders were going to be added in the particular project file of your project. In the new framework or in the .NET Core framework, there are no references of these folders and files available in your solution explorer here. Now we have already added one reference of this .NET Core project, one reference of the newtonsoft.json package. Let's see what happens when we are going to uninstall or when we are going to remove this particular package from our project. Let's see what happens and whether the project file is synchronized with the references which we are going to add in our project file. Let's
Ritesh,
uninstall.
sorry to stop you. So if it's not showing here like
Now we have checked that we can install the any package and uninstall. As soon as you install and uninstall the packages in your project, then these are automatically reflected in your project file. So as soon as you are making any changes to your project file, or as soon as you are making your changes in the packages folder, if you are going to add or remove any packages, these changes are going to be reflected in the project file of your application. So in this way, we have discussed about what is the project file, what is the .NET target framework monikers, what are these abbreviations available with each framework, and we have created one Visual Studio 2017 application. We have created one application by using Visual Studio 2017, and we have seen what are the differences between the .NET Core and ASP.NET Core project files, right? In the next session, we will be discussing the main method which is available in the ASP.NET Core framework, and we will be comparing two frameworks like .NET Core 5.0 and .NET Core 6.0 to understand it in a better way.